Africa know that oftentimes governance is a hindrance, and particularly you, since you're a Pan-Africanist, you know that you have to cross borders and deal with a lot of very, very poor governance. So what is your solutions to dealing with some of these issues, and how do you look to the future and so you can have a better and more successful program when you do have these soft borders?
All right. So one of the things that we do is we're very clear about who we are and what we stand for. And, you know, we don't do anything that's corrupt. We just don't play that game at all. But we're also careful not to rage against the machine, right? So we're not, you know, being very sort of, we're just, yes, we're kind of quiet and determined and steady about how we operate. And I find that just executing with excellence eventually earns you the respect that you need for people to let you do what you need to do. And that's how we deal with it. And when we enter into a new country to recruit, we always try to find people who know that country well. You know, we form partnerships and collaborate with others as a way of getting to know that country. But we just have to be very centered about how we operate.
Post Ashesi, your alumni, they still have to operate in a pretty tough Ghanaian environment,
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah.
They are built to be better ethically and all of that, but how long are you seeing them withstand the pressures to go back to being Ghanaian? And what is Ashesi doing to kind of build a buffer for them so they can continuously uphold the kind of the learnings that they've had and become better leaders over a longer period?
That's a good one.
Yeah. You know, that's a tough question. It's a question we ask ourselves all the time. So the first thing is you get what you celebrate, right? And so we celebrate and are very proud about the ethical posture of Ashesi. And our alumni see that all the time. We invite alumni into the classroom at Ashesi. One of the first leadership seminar on leadership has a module on ethics. And it's called Giving Voice to Values. And it's a module where students read cases about ethical dilemmas, and then they sort of role play how they deal with that. And every year, some of the cases that they go through are cases that alumni bring from the real world, real situations that they've encountered, and ask the question, how would you deal with this? And then of course they also share how they deal with it as well. And that kind of, and we celebrate all of that. So that's also a reminder for our alumni to sort of hold a course. Look, chances are, even as I'm speaking right now, there's some Ashesi alum who's not doing the right thing, right? Chances are. However, because they've had 4 years of being immersed in a certain culture on campus, and when they get hired, one of the things, especially when you get hired by an entrepreneur, a business person, one of the things that gets you promoted is if you're trustworthy. And so alumni rising, not in spite of their ethical posture, but because of their ethical posture, is something too that we celebrate. And then we really do need to get a movement in the country so that the broader environment is also shifting because ultimately that needs to happen. Otherwise, you've got, these people who are sort of struggling through a very difficult situation.
About expanding education services to Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Ghana, and Nigeria. Interestingly, I'm from those countries, and I wanted to know, what are your plans towards attracting students from the bottom west, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea?
Well, every year we go to those countries to recruit students, and we've built some partnerships with NGOs that operate there to also help us identify students who would qualify to come to Ashesi. It's very much a work in progress, and we're recruiting from all over the continent. Liberia is a country where some years we're unable to enroll anybody. There was one year when nobody in Liberia passed the West Africa certificate exam. So even in Liberia, universities wouldn't enroll students. That's a very difficult situation. So one of the things that needs to happen is also help build the quality of the pipeline, if you will. And that is something that we've started a partnership with Teach for Ghana to strengthen the pipeline in Ghana. And that kind of effort needs to be increased in places like Sierra Leone or Liberia. The Civil War sort of stopped education for 15 years. And that's what those countries are building from, right? So that's a unique difficulty that we have there. And then when our alumni from those countries go back home, that becomes also a word of mouth. People see, this man or this young woman who went to Ghana, to Ashesi University, and they come back and they're sort of doing so well, that we hope that also helps attract more people to come to Ashesi.
Are you exploring, distance learning, mobile learning, online options? And there's probably something possibly in the future, but is this a discussion that you are currently having at the university? Are you exploring tools to reach learners in a mobile way?
Yes, it is a conversation that we're having, and trying to figure out what's the best way to use technology. So one that we're already doing is some of our faculty are using the model of a flipped classroom, where students are doing the lectures online, and then they come to class and it's all discussion and guidance and solving problems, so that they don't have to do a lecture, use classroom time for that. The collaborative that we've started has a couple of institutions that are very heavily online. So they're doing the bulk of their work online, and we're paying attention to how that is going. We think that moving forward in the world, one area where online is going to clearly be a big important force is for continuing education for people who are already in the world of work. As the world is changing and technology is changing, people are going to be retooling all the time. And so, education is not going to be this thing where you do K through 12, then you do 4 years, and then maybe you go work, maybe you go directly to grad school and do 2 years of masters and so on. That it's going to be something that people are constantly tooling up throughout their careers. And technology is going to be an important factor in enabling that. And so that's something that we will be looking closely at for, if you will, for a more mature audience or class of students. People who are already working and are motivated, self-motivated,